Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is the episode I've been waiting for. My boy Jason is be dropping some golden nuggets. Have you ever wanted to get a government contract, but you don't know how? If you stay till the end, we're going to teach you how to get a government contract. My boy Jason has been changing the game. And from what I've seen here, I couldn't believe it when I read it. He has over 4,600 students that have actually done what we're going to talk about. And he is such an awesome dude. He's going to speak at the Grammys. Come on now. How much better can we get? Jason, my brother, welcome to the show. How are you today?
The Comeback Coach, man. How you feeling? Look, real quick. This is how fast numbers work. We're past 4,600. We're actually at a little over 6,500 students right now.
Wow. So you're doing big things. But first of all, because I do have a traumatic brain injury, and if I don't ask the question, I forget. What is your definition of resiliency?
Oh man, my definition of resiliency is when you get knocked down, when you get back up, what you gonna do? When you get knocked down and you get back up, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna proceed forward? How are you gonna still reach your goal, whatever that was, or your dreams, whatever that looks like, once you got knocked back down? So I don't care about the little dash between here and there. I care about, okay, once you get knocked back down, what will the world or what will your friends or what will you say to yourself in the mirror about how you responded when you got knocked down? That's the definition of resilience for me.
And I've never heard that. I've heard people say, well, if you get knocked down, you get back up. But what you're saying is just because you get up doesn't mean anything. It's what you do after you get
right.
Up.
So look, every time I've gotten to a fight, if I got knocked down and then got up and then walked away, that's what everybody gonna remember. Man, he got knocked down and then he walked away. Versus he got knocked down, got up, and continued to fight and continue to prove a point and continue to do whatever. So once you get knocked down and you get back up, what are you gonna do after that? That's the important piece. That's resilience to me.
I love it, and I want to thank my brother Jerome Spearman. He left a comment up above, said powerful, bro. This whole show is going to be powerful. Jerome Spearman is one of my brothers, and I'm helping him launch his brand new podcast. Drops on Valentine's Day, so make sure you guys are watching out for that. So if people seeing you right now, if people seeing you, going to go speak at the Grammys, helping all these people, they don't realize it hasn't been all unicorns, rainbows, and Skittles. So talk to us about where you come from, where did you grow up, and how did you become the force that you are today?
Man, I'm a dude from Norfolk, Virginia, man. I went to Booker T. Washington High School. I came out in 1999. I know I might look young. I'm an old guy. I'm an old cat. So back then, my whole dream, my whole goal was to be in the NBA, play basketball. That's all I wanted to do.
Okay, wait, hold on. Before we go any further, because I'm an old white dude. I just turned 55 yesterday.
Yes,
last night I was up to 3 a.m. playing NBA 2K. So who's your favorite basketball player and why?
Man, I really, really enjoy watching De'Aaron Fox, the young point guard from Sacramento Kings. Let me tell you why.
How fast is that kid? That kid is fast.
Man, he fast, he humble, but he still hasn't reached his potential yet. He still and he works hard. That dude loves the game, but more importantly, I love how he gets his teammates involved right from the start, and he take command of his team. So that's one of the guys I like watching the most. I love watching, obviously some of the other superstars, LeBron, KD, Kyrie, so Damian Lillard. I like watching the superstars everybody else do, but then I watch all these other little guys that it's going to be their time soon.
So okay, so you grew up watching the NBA. Now, of course, I was always a big AI guy. I always loved Allen
Yeah,
Iverson.
baby.
Uh, I mean, small guy, big heart. So,
Yep.
talk to us about your NBA dreams.
Man, small guy, big heart. You right. So if I'm watching him, he at Georgetown, and I'm like, man, he got this one move and he fast and he just getting right to the bucket. I'm like, I can do that. So I started to practice.
You talking
And it was
practice?
good.
We're
I
talking
was
practice.
we talking practice. And I was cool. Everything was good. But I didn't have the grades come back, coach. I didn't have the grades, man. So that was one of my downfalls. I had the game, but not the grades. So that was one of the biggest things that deterred me. And then my attitude back in the day was trash. No, I mean, I ain't even gonna sugarcoat it. My attitude back then wasn't good. I was a I was an entitled guy that didn't work for the entitlement. I never worked for entitlement, but I felt like I was entitled to everything I asked for, but never worked for it. So that was a contrast to my own attitude and behavior. Um, and that was the downfall of me playing ball in college. I never did it. I did it in junior college. So I played ball in junior college, and that was it.
But don't you? Because I love. I forget who said it. That talent that works hard beats talent that doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
And I believe, even like my main guy of all time has been Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant.
Yes,
But I
sir.
like that he worked hard even after winning the NBA championship. The next morning, he was at the gym shooting free throws at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
because he knows, well, okay, I won a title, but what about the next one? And I think
Mhm.
Jordan was the same way. That's why he cried while holding those titles because he knows, all right, the work just starts again tomorrow morning. So talk
Yeah.
about the mindset of a champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you saw with Kobe and Jordan. It's on to the next. They will slow down to appreciate where they are and what they've become and what they've accomplished. Right. So I don't want anybody to overlook that. Those guys will slow down and appreciate what they've accomplished and who they brought with them. But a champion and a leader were always ready to look for the next. We're always ready to accomplish the next. We're always ready to say, all right, this was amazing. I'm going to enjoy this moment. But tomorrow morning, like you said, I got to get back to it. And it's all gas, no brakes until we're satisfied in what we've accomplished. We don't let the world dictate when we're satisfied. Champions and leaders dictate to themselves, okay, I've done all I want to do. I've accomplished all I want to accomplish. Now I can walk away saying I really left it all out there and gave it 100%.
Okay, but talking about champions, a lot of people have become champions once and they never get back again. Because I
Yeah,
think it was Jason. I think it was one of the Kelsey brothers said the hardest thing is to get back the championship the next year because so
yeah,
many people get fat, dumb, and happy over winning that one championship.
yeah.
So talk about that is celebrating, but making sure that you're doing the work to win the next one.
So especially in sports and in certain other aspects in achieving a goal, sometimes it is right place, right situation, right? Sometimes it is the stars, everything just align for you at that moment to catapult you to that level of success or that being a champion. So just as much as hard work, just as much as consistency is a real thing, there are just, hey, it was your time. Everything aligned, but it doesn't become your time if you're not prepared for when your time comes. So if you're not prepared and you're not ready for when your time comes, when your time comes and you're not prepared, it still can pass you by. Whether it's one time, three times, or five times, you still have to be ready and prepared for what you're asking for and you're affirming for your life. Still got to
Okay,
be
so
prepared.
taking that back down because this conversation, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
so
loving
grateful. Thank you.
it.
Allen Iverson never won a title.
Yeah,
Big Shot Rob Robert Ory, 7
Yeah.
NBA championships, played for the Houston Rockets and the LA Lakers. So he was there. He was there for the big shots, but he did what it took to get there and stay there.
Yes.
So even though somebody said, well, he's because he was with Jordan and he was with Kobe and them, but if he wasn't good enough and consistent enough, he wouldn't have stayed for 3 and 4. He wouldn't have 7 titles if he wasn't good enough.
Listen, they wouldn't even pass him the ball if he was wide open for 5 quarters. That's including overtime. But because they know that man practiced that same type of shot at the top of the key, at the corner, at the other corner, at the elbow, because his teammates know he has that preparation, when the time presents itself, they believe in Big Shot Bob to pass him the ball, and Robert Ory knocked it down every time. AI had the talent on his own to get to the championship. But we all know to get to certain levels in life, not just sports, in life, you have to have others. You have to have a supporting cast. You have to have a team that's capable of getting you over the hump, and not even just one time, but staying there. That's why Kobe and Shaq were so blessed and have the opportunity for others that wanted to play with their greatness. See, you got the ability to put the ball in the hole and look good and be an NBA All-Star, but do you got the ability to make the others around you good? Do you have the ability to make the others around you want to sacrifice, to dive on the floor and do all the dirty work that you necessarily don't want to do? That's what Shaq and Kobe had the ability to do. AI situation in his career when he was in Philly, people really didn't want to play with him. So he had to take what he could get. The good thing about AI is he had the talent to even take those individuals. I mean, the dude was playing with Eric Snow, Aaron McKee, aged Mutombo. We're talking about Mutombo that's over the hill, George Hill that's been far removed from his glory days. And AI still took those guys to the championship, but those guys weren't enough to help AI win the championship. That's the biggest difference.
But don't you think also in business and in sports, whatever, even in your business, you want to build a team?
Yeah.
And people forget that Michael Jordan had the little white guy, John Paxson, sitting on the edge. Yeah. Steve Kerr sitting on the edge. And now Steve Kerr comes out to my second favorite team, the Golden State Warriors, creates an amazing team that drafted Klay Thompson, drafted Steph Curry, drafted Draymond Green. So they know how to build a team, and you can't do it all by yourself. Even it can't be all about Jason and having 6,500 clients. You can't do it all yourself. So you actually have to build a team out. So how important is building your team out?
I mean, it's extremely important, but it starts with one person first, right? So it starts with me. If I have the ability to lead, if I went through all these bumps and bruises, when I bring people onto my team, I can instill the confidence in them that they can get whatever the tasks are that I lay before them. So we all can continue to share, number one, the culture that I like in my company. And then number two, the same common objective, which is to continue to grow and scale. So having a team is important, but on the business side, you have to let the business dictate when you're ready for a team. A lot of times people will start a business and they're at ground zero trying to hurry up and get a team. You don't need a team just yet. What you need to do is figure out the objectives, figure out the goals, figure out the culture. Once you figured that out, then you figure out which pieces of your business that you want to delegate so you can continue to be the leader and push the vision of the company forward. But a lot of times people hurry up and get a team and they're not even ready for one yet.
But also it takes time to build a winning team.
Correct.
Like we were talking before we came on, with the Houston Texans, they had a good team. The coach was they had J.J. Watt, they had DeAndre Hopkins, but now you get a leader like the coach they got now. Then you draft somebody like C.J. Stroud now you can build upon something, but you have to have those core pieces with the right mindset in place, right? Do you agree with that?
I agree. I agree. I think too. So number one, I agree. And I do think it's okay if we think this puzzle piece fits here, then we need to remove that piece because it no longer fits. It no longer fits the mold. It no longer fits the vision. And I think that's okay as well. I think people feel like, especially small businesses, they feel like they put somebody in position to win and then try to fit a square in a circle's position and try to jam it in there and knowing that it doesn't fit. So I've been an advocate for putting people on my team, but then quickly realizing, all right, I thought this was a fit. This is no longer a fit. Let me remove you from off going on with this thing right here. Just important, just as important it is to be patient, it's important to be a realistic person when you're a leader to switch people in and out as needed for your company's sake.
Well, even Gary Vaynerchuk, one of my mentors, said, hire them quick, but fire them quicker. So
There you
if they're
go.
not doing the job, you guys to go. It's nothing personal. But
It ain't
what did what's the name say in that movie was, never personal. It's always
it's just
business.
business. It's just business.
And I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, New Jack City. So now tell us a little bit of, how did you start getting into the world of business when you realized, all right, basketball ain't happening. So what did you do next?
Man, watch this. I went to the Coast Guard. Didn't even know how to swim. I'm that type of guy. If I see an opportunity, I know I can do anything if I put my mind to it. I'm really legit hopped up on that. It's not even a tagline for me. If I can do anything if I put my mind to it. I've always been like that. So I joined the Coast Guard, didn't know how to swim. Next thing you know, I'm going through all the ranks and I'm being respected as a leader in the U.S. Coast Guard just as fast as I was able to get enlisted. So I started out doing a really good job, but then I got in trouble in the Coast Guard and I ended up going to the Brig military jail for 2 years.
All right, because now I joined the military because I'm like, it's going to be the military or jail. I did
Yeah,
both. I
yeah,
did both. So I got locked up and I got thrown out of the military for being a drug addict.
yeah,
But it's what defines me today. What's
yeah.
made me the man that I am today. Because people can relate. People can relate to somebody like me and you from the streets going to jail and coming back out, and now we're being leaders of men.
There
But
you go.
take us back to that day. What happened? Why'd you get locked up, and why'd you do 2 years?
Man, thinking I'm part of the cocaine cowboys, man, just tripping. Like for real. Like I'm in the Coast Guard. We seeing all of this stuff be seized. I'm thinking I could slip in, slip out. It was just terrible. And then, like I said, I had an entitlement attitude with no work ethic back then, right? I always had a work ethic, but I never applied it. So I always thought everything should be given to me just because I said, give it to me. I'm taking it. Give it to me. Give it to me. So I had an entitlement attitude with no work ethic and no progress towards being the ability to be entitled. So I never put any work behind it. But after I did those 2 years was actually needed. They helped me to just sit my butt down and instead of me cursing out the world saying it's y'all fault, the blame game, I did a lot of self-reflection, self-awareness. Um, and I just looked within. I was like, man, this all me. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It's all my fault. But these are the changes that I'm gonna make soon as I come home. And that's what I started to do.
All right, so let me ask you a question, because if somebody would ask you, I play this game all the time when I have my brothers on the show. And
Yeah.
say, if I ask you a question, two questions, I'm an old 55-year-old white guy, so put that out there.
All right.
What is my favorite movie of all time, and what do I have playing on my iPhone today? What would be your response if I asked you those two questions?
All right. Being though you like the Lakers and stuff like that, I think what you got playing on your iPad is Ain't Nothing But a G Thing, Baby, Snoop Dogg.
All right. Well, so to answer that question, on my iPad, I got NWA,
Oh, I was close.
Snoop,
Yeah.
Dre,
Yeah.
Too Short. So, but because I was in the streets. But now, what do you think my favorite movie of all time is?
The favorite movie of all time is a mix between Scarface and Heat.
Not even close. My favorite movie of all time is, because it reflects back to what we're talking about, is the autobiography of Malcolm X. Because
Okay.
even when Malcolm was in prison, somebody asked him, you're in prison. He said, my body is in prison, but my mind is free.
Yeah.
And what that hit me, what you're talking about is, because when you go to jail, you either become a better criminal or a better man.
Yep.
And that's two ways you can go. So talk to us about when you're in jail and you're sitting on your bunk. They hear the door clang, and then you had that decision to make. Well, I can be a criminal for the rest of my life, or I can become a better man. So talk to us about that, and having to do 2 years every day, deciding I'm going to get out, but I need to start getting myself right before I get out.
Back then, man, the brig was like chain gang. It was like 12, 14 hours of straight work, digging holes. It was a lot of digging holes, to be honest with you. It was straight work. So you really, your self-reflection time was out there in that heat with that shovel in your hand, to be honest with you. When you finally did get to go back to your bunk, you just wanted to close your eyes anyway. So as I'm getting the opportunity to hear some of the other guys and listening to what their dreams and visions are when they be released, listen to how they complaining about everything. I'm like, man, I can't even be around these fools. I can't be around these idiots. These guys are, to your point, they're looking to either stay the same or be a better criminal. And I didn't have anybody to really bounce what I want to do when I came home off of, positive feedback. I didn't have that. For 2 years, it was crazy. So what I did was stayed to myself. I spoke to when I needed to speak to somebody. I made moves when I needed to make moves, but I kept a lot of things. I had a lot of just talking to myself, to be honest with you.
All right, so because I want to dig a little bit deeper, because they do call me G.I. Joe Rogan, or the male Oprah, so we might have to go a little bit deeper. But first, I want to thank our sponsors. As you guys know, my friend Michael actually made this for me. He was on that show Forged in Fire on History Channel. He's one of the finalists. So if you love handmade knives, check out the above thing. He actually made a brand new handmade knife for my best friend and best man he loves to go fishing, so he made a handmade fishing knife. Guys, if you love handmade forged knives, check out Michael Peterson up above. So let me ask you a question, because now I got healed from racism back in 1986, so I don't see color whatsoever. But I have many friends, and a lot of them, when they get out of jail, they're like, okay, I'm black, and now I'm an ex-con. So a lot of the stuff that should be available to me are not available to me. So what did you do the day you got released and they slammed those doors and you were finally a free man? What were some of the steps you took to actually start becoming a free man while being free?
I went to McDonald's. Hey, comeback coach. I went to McDonald's first, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I went to McDonald's first. Then I went and got a real haircut. So those two, eating some decent food, getting a haircut, started to bring me back to real life. right? It was like, oh man, thank you. Like, whoo. So after I got that haircut, man, the first thing I did was it's time to get to work. I started to look for jobs because I don't have time to waste. I have my daughter now, and it's go time. I got things to do. I got people depending on me that I never had before. So I started to look for a job immediately, especially after I got the haircut. And I had to realize I can't be around the same environment. Now, watch this, coach. I never was in the hood, but I used to walk down to the hood and be around them. And that was the environment I created for myself. So the biggest thing I did was when I came home, I instantly removed myself from that environment altogether because I can't change my mindset if I'm in the same environment. It don't mix. It's oil and water. So I removed myself from that environment. And then I really started to notice, all right, Jay, this is a real struggle right now because I don't have the let's go get quick money schemes. I don't have the bad influences of you don't have no money, but I know how to hurry up and get $500, $1,000. I don't have that no more. So now everything is straightforward, everything is legit. And for a while it's a little struggle, but I always knew right from wrong. I tell people all the time, it's not like I did not know right from wrong. I mean, for crying out loud, I went to the military. So obviously I know right from wrong and how to conduct myself accordingly. So it wasn't a big learning curve to get reacclimated, but it was a learning curve. But those are some of the first things I did. I got my McDonald's, man. I got my hair cut so I could feel fresh, and I removed myself from that environment.
Well, because but you realize, okay, I'm not going to be in the Nino Brown. That's not going to happen.
Not
So, but so a lot of times, I'm sure that when you first got out and you started applying for jobs, and the first question they ask, well, where were you for the last 2 years, or and so you're like, or do you have a criminal background? And you're like,
yeah,
here we go again. So, who was the first person that believed in you and hired you? Do you remember the first person?
The Children's Hospital of King Daughters. Children's Hospital of King Daughters in Norfolk, Virginia, man. They had me, I was dumping trash. I had to dump trash from like floors 1 through like 10 or something like that. And I mean, I was excited, but it was terrible. It was bad. It was bad. It was trash at the hospital. But one thing about me is this. I want to be the best whatever I'm doing. I don't care how degrading somebody else might look at the job or the position or the task. I'm going to be the best at it. So one of the things I did while I was there, I started to work my way up to start to do medical transport. So now I could transport patients, little kids, from like the OR or from the intensive care unit to a regular room. And I started to do that and still while doing trash. So I felt pretty good about how I move and conduct myself, but I didn't get fired. I ended up quitting because I forgot, man, but I ended up quitting that job. But anyway, that was the first person that gave me an opportunity. Children's Hospital King.
So what did you do? How did you get in the crazy world of what you're doing now? Because to go from basketball to Coast Guard to ex-con to working at a hospital to now doing what you're doing now, that's a big transformation. So how did you get there?
Yeah, so I was simultaneously working at the gas station and at Children's Hospital King Daughters until I quit. So now I'm just working at the gas station part-time. And one of my guys that I used to be with all the time, he's the one that came to the gas station and said, look, I'm going to get a government contract in trucking. And I had no clue what he was talking about. And I said, man, that sounds cool. I want to do it too. And he said, all right, when you get off work, just holler at me. And I said, okay. But when I got off, he was getting locked up. So that night or the next day, I had to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube University, and I'm all self-taught. I had to figure it out on my own. But that's how the bug got started. My man.
Well, the reason why I asked that, because I have a lot of people that are watching, they're veterans,
Yeah.
and they become entrepreneurs, or I call them vetpreneurs.
Yeah.
And they want to know, how do I get in AFES? How do I get into this government contract and this government contract? So break it down Barney style, because all the hours and hours and hours you spent on YouTube. So talk to us, break it down Barney style. What is a government contract? It might not be what I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. So let me say this. Let me do this disclaimer. Yes, I was in the military, but the military taught me absolutely nothing about government contracts. Zero zilch. So when I started to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube University, the federal government contract is simple as this. The federal government is looking to procure a product and or a service from a business and or small business. So they make it in the form of a contract. That's all it is. So the government says, we need this product, we need this service, but we need these companies to provide it for us. Y'all bid on it, and we're going to pick the lowest, best bidder and company. That's all the government contract is. So once I started to really understand that's what they're asking for and that's what the need is, who can help me produce this need? Because I don't have products, I don't have a company. I'm at the gas station, for crying out loud. So I always recognize that I can partner up with a company that can actually do whatever it is that the government is asking for. I'm gonna just do the paperwork piece. And once I kind of figured that out, it was off and running. That people have to understand. I don't work on a state. I don't work on the local level. I only work on the federal level. There's a federal facility in all 50 states. There's a federal facility in all 50 states, which means I can be in Virginia and be awarded a federal government contract in California, hire somebody to partner up with me in California to get that product or that service completed, whatever the federal government is asking for. But that's what the
Okay.
government is.
So, and I think what you're saying is, I mean, get me if I'm wrong, but Jason, I think we're on the same track, that there there is no competition. It's just collaboration.
There you
So
go.
talk to us about collaborating, because a lot of times we get out of the military, we feel like the lone wolf, and I'm going to do it on my own.
Right.
And if you're going to have government contracts, you need collaboration between you and other entrepreneurs. So talk about that collaboration aspect, because that sounds like the most important part is the relationships.
Relationship and communication. You spot on, coach. Is the relationship and communication. If I know I can't provide, let me backtrack. The mindset has to be and always will be, it's not about what I can do. It's about what I can manage. Can I manage this contract, and or can I manage the company that's going to do the work on this contract? That's the first thing that you got to train your mind. It's not even about you. It's about management now. So now when we're looking at these contracts from afar, you have to be able to build a relationship quickly, and you also have to be able to effectively communicate what your expectations are from that company, from the government. The government is laying out the expectation, and all I'm doing is just relaying the expectations to the company. So for a quick example, if there's 2.5 acres of grass that needs to be cut in Florida, I don't have a landscaping company in Florida, but there are thousands of them in Florida, right? So now all I got to do is reach out to several of them, tell them what the expectation is, which is I need you to cut 2.5 acres of grass on these days or these months. And now they know the expectation. They give me the price. I submit that price to the federal government after putting some money on top for my company as well. And we off and running.
So now, is there, because we all know that government, the bureaucracy, the red tape, but a lot of times people don't realize that the government, they make it easy sometimes for you to get involved, but you have to do a little of the groundwork. And I tell
Yes.
everybody, if you got one of these, if you got a smartphone but you're not using it, you're pretty much dumb.
Yeah.
And I tell people, before you invest in anything, invest in yourself,
Yeah.
because you have to put in the hours. You got to put in the reps. You had to learn you had to learn the YouTube. I had to learn podcasting through YouTube, taking courses. So talk about investing in yourself before you invest in anything else.
Man, it's important. In 2008, if I had the money to pay for a mentor, if I had the money to pay for a course, if I had the money to go to seminars, I would have did that with the quickness. Because what a mentor or what a course or what investing in yourself does is help condense your time frames to get to the level that you're trying to get to, especially if you're taking it serious. So yes, I'm self-taught and I'm proud to be self-taught, but I started in 2008. I didn't even get awarded my first one until 2011. So that's 3 years of hard work, dedication, and consistency. But more importantly, 3 years of me on my own trying to figure it out. When if I had the money and the ability to be shoulder to shoulder with somebody that can help me condense my time frames, man, it would have been too easy. However, as much as I say that, the time that I invested in myself for those 3 years are well worth it, because all I was doing was filling my cup up. I'm filling my own cup. I'm filling my own cup. I didn't even know about personal development back then, but I was doing a version of personal development as I'm teaching myself this skill set of government contracting. So I'm a big advocate for, investing in yourself first. Like I said, get rid of your toxic environment, changing your mindset. Also, realizing your level of consistency. People think investing in yourself is always a learning ability or some type of job or new business, but a lot of times investing in yourself should be starting from self-worth. It should be starting from looking at what your ability to be consistent is, and also your mindset. Get those things together first. Any business model that you attack after that, it should be full steam ahead.
All right. Now, let me ask you a question, because I know when I first started this podcast 5 years ago, if I said, I'm going to be interviewing people like Jason, or people like the authors of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, millionaires,
Yeah.
billionaires, authors, athletes. Oh, you got to be crazy. You can't do that. You're only a ninth grade dropout. You went to jail and all that. You're never going to be able to do that. So I'm sure when you first started, you had some of that imposter syndrome going on. So how did you overcome the imposter syndrome?
Watch this, man. I had it to the point where sometimes my mom was even questioning what you're doing. And that takes on a different form of doubt. It's like, my mom don't kind of believe in me. Now, she never told me to quit, but she put those little sentences in my head. Oh, you think you should be doing something else at the same time you trying to get this off the ground? She was putting that in my head every blue moon, but it wasn't heavy. But I think for me, man, one of the things that helped me through, and it still helps my students through as well. I don't care who say you can't do what the doubters and haters say. If you look at your bank account and that don't drive you and inspire you to keep going to get to your next level of success, no words from nobody else gonna do anything to you. I'm from the era where you had to go up to the ATM machine. No, it ain't no apps back then. You had to go to the ATM machine, put the card in there, punch your numbers in there, and get the little paper out to look at your balance. And I did that every single day. Now watch this, coach. I know no money was going in there. I already know that. Ain't no money from yesterday to today. Ain't no money went in there. But I still went up there and got that paper just to look at it, because I need that to continue to drive me through the haters, through the naysayers, through the doubters, through my own self-doubt, right? Because as people doubt me, it's making my self-doubt grow, and I'm a confident dude. I'm like, man, I shouldn't even be listening to these idiots. However, their voice is louder when it's silent, and my positive voice is lower. It's like the doubt voice was so loud as sometimes in my life. It's like, man, that's why it took me 3 years. I just sat down for a couple months, almost a whole year, and I did nothing towards my business because I let the doubter's voice get louder than my voice. So one of the things that kept me through, looking at that bank account, man, that's not the numbers I want to see. Negative 15 cent, $1.20, 73 cents. When you're looking at stuff like that, knowing you got a daughter to provide for and you got to eat yourself, that's a different type of drive right there.
And then sometimes you're just hoping that card comes back out, making sure the machine doesn't eat your card. So let me ask you a question.
Don't keep my card, man.
So you started in 2008. You got your first contract in 2011. Yeah. When you forgot that first contract, did you do the whole Carlton dance when you first got that contract?
Man, I did any dance you can name. I did it, man. Because it was a bigger feeling of triumph than you could ever imagine. I can't even explain how I felt. It was just it felt like the world was lifted off my shoulders. It felt like, I wanted to stick it to everybody's face. Like, I told y'all I could do it. It was like that. It was joy. I had a ton of emotions, man. I had a ton. The first person I called my mom. I ain't throw nothing in my mom's face because, like I said, eventually she really took me serious and started to be an encouraging person in my life. But I called her and we just had a moment about it. And man, I'm smiling about it right now because I'm remembering what it was. I'm remembering what it was when I finally got awarded that first one, man.
But now, a lot of people they'd be excited, and then again they'd be get that fat, dumb, and happy. But a lot of people don't realize, well, this contract is going to end. I got to find the next thing, because even if my business sponsors come and they go, so you got to make sure that you got the next thing lined up. So once you got that first contract, did you immediately start working on the second one, or was it already in motion?
Yeah, it was already in motion. It was already in motion. So I was submitting around, but anywhere on average per month between 12 and 15 proposals. Sometimes I even got up to 20 to 25 proposals per month. Like, I was moving. So it was already in motion. The other ones was in motion. I didn't win another one until 2 months later. It took me 2 months later to win that second one, but that second one gave me a profit of $7,000 per month. And it was over from there. It was over.
So now, 2011, now we're 13 years in. When did you start saying, okay, I've done a lot of these and I'm still doing them. Let me teach somebody else how to do it? Because I found out if I want to learn something, let me learn it and teach somebody else. And I'm going to get better at it because I have to teach and I have to know what I'm talking about. So I got to put in a little bit more work. So when did you decide to take your first client on? And why? What was your reasoning for that?
So inadvertently, everybody was asking me what was I doing, because you got to remember, I didn't really have a car, so I had a pedal bike. So I would take my bike to the library to get on the computer because I didn't have a computer. Or I would borrow my sister's car every now and then to go to the library or do what I need to do. So I didn't have a car. But next thing you know, Jay popping out with a car now. Next thing you know, Jay taking a trip. Like, this dude don't act like he never had no money, but now you could tell he's looking different. He don't work at the gas station, but he's driving a decent car now. He's taking trips. So people would ask me, hey, what you doing? Especially my friends and stuff like that. So I always was teaching back then, even back then. What made me take it to the level that I'm at now is as I used to go forward and listen to people, how they talk about government contracting like it's such the hardest thing in the world. Like, it's so unobtainable. Like, oh, nobody can do this unless you have all of these amazing accolades. I'm like, you know what? That ain't even remotely true. Let me start to get my voice out here. Let me start to get my story. But more importantly, let me start to get my success that I've had in federal government contracting out there and teach it in a way that people, number one, want to learn it. Number two, can easily digest it. And then number three, want to execute it. So I've always been teaching it from a jump, But what made me take it full force is listening to how of much of a task other individuals talk about government contracting, which can't be further from the truth.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because a lot of time, and I was thinking about that myself, and I'm like, damn, it sounds so difficult for get government contract. But like you said, I know guys, they're doing landscaping along some of the, like the National Guard's armories and stuff like that, and they got the government contract. And I know that, I ain't the smartest man in the world, but I know I'm smarter than some people. And but some of them got government contracts, and I'm like, okay, I get what Jason's throwing down. So talk to us a little bit about how it's not as hard as you think it is, but you still got to put it into reps.
Yeah. So that's good, man. I think that one of the biggest things is obviously it's a new skill, right? You're learning to read through contracts. Most people have never even viewed a contract before. So now you're reading through contracts. You have to be able to sift through the government jargon. That's another learning curve. Another learning curve is, remember, I am partnering up with other businesses to get the physical work done. So now you need to articulate the expectation to a company about an industry you may know nothing about. And that's the third learning curve. So those are the reps that need to happen. But I'm going to break down how simple the process is after those reps get to a certain level. You find the solicitation. You reach out to the company that can partner up with you to get that done. You locate what the expectation is. You ask that company for a quote. That company provides you a quote. You put your money on top. You submit that proposal to the federal government, and you move to the next one. You wash, rinse, repeat. That's the process in a nutshell. Obviously, I talked about the learning curves that you have in between all of that, but that's how simple the process is to be awarded a federal government contract. And one of the beauties is they do not care about your sketchy past. They don't care about that. The federal government does business to business, not people to business. So as long as your company is within good standing, your LLC is good, your sketchy past, your felons, your how many times you went to jail, your lying, scamming, whatever you used to do, that don't even matter to the federal government. As long as your company is good, you can be awarded a federal government contract.
All right. So now I wrote something down here the first time we were supposed to get together, but my computer crashed and all that stuff.
All
But
good.
so talk to us about how much money did you make in 6 months? Did I write this down wrong? So, but I was in shock, and I had to rethink and relook it and talk. How much money in 6 months did you make?
It depends which year you're talking about.
Was it like 1.2 million or 12 million? Which one was it?
Yeah, 1.2 in 6 months. So what happens is there are what we call what happens is there are contracts that I like to call one-hitter quitters, right? You provide the product, you provide the service, you get paid, and that's it. It's a one-time deal. So strategically, during certain times of the year, me and my team will just go for the one-hitter quitters. So their profits of 75,000, 80,000, 200,000, 30,000, 35,000. We just going for the big balloons. Boom, 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 boom. And that's it. So I just every now and then I'll talk about the 1 year where we did that in a fairly quick time, and we did it in 6 months.
Okay, so now if somebody were like, but where do you find these contracts? Is there a website that for government that's looking for things, or how do you find these? How do you find them to bid on in the first place?
Absolutely. Everybody should go to sam.gov, sam.gov, sam.gov. And there you will find all of the federal government contracting opportunities. And I'm stressing federal because there are state and there are local contracts, but I only work on the federal level. Now, there are 96,000 federal government contract opportunities every single day. That's not even a month. That's not a year. That's not a week. There are 96,000 federal government contracting opportunities every single day. And that's what makes that website so amazing to go to, because you have the ability to kind of pick and choose which opportunities you want to submit proposals for.
That is insane. But first,
Yeah.
and also I wrote this down. I want to thank Devin Rodriguez. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. He does. He gets all the top guests like you. So I just want to say, Devin Rodriguez,
Shout
I
out to
love you,
Devin.
brother. You were
Yeah.
amazing. So talk to us about what's going on. You're going to the Grammys, and then you said you might check out a Lakers game down the road in a couple of weeks. So what's
Yeah.
going on in Jason White's world?
Man, so right now I got my book. I don't know if you can see it behind me. It's called The Unconventional Path to Success. And anybody want to check it out, just go to unconventionalbook.com, unconventionalbook.com.
I'll put
And
that in the liner notes this way.
I
And I'm going to order my copy. I want an autographed copy. I want an autograph.
appreciate it, brother. I got you. Too easy. Too easy. So we're promoting the book, man. It's my first book, and it's all about some of the things that we talked about today. My path, my unconventional path to success, my mindset. Why do I think the way I think? How do I feel like the common sense is better than book sense? How do I figure the street life help to elevate me to the business world? So it has all of those nuances in there. We got a workbook coming out with the book as well, so people can jot down notes and just process their way through their own journey in life to their own unconventional path to success. So we got that really heavy, man. And then also the federal code is the program where I teach individuals and businesses the world of federal government contracting the way I do it. I always say this, right, Coach? I don't have the best way to win government contracts. I have the most effective way, though. I have a very effective way to be awarded federal government contracts. So we got the federal code and we got the book, man. We rocking and rolling.
So how'd you even get into the Grammys? You got to tell me. You got to tell me.
Listen. So watch this. Anytime I get on platforms like yours, again, Coach, appreciate you for having me here. I just rock the show, man. Like, I don't have anything else but to do but speak the truth, speak it in a way that I know I can be relatable, but more importantly, be my authentic self, 100% my authentic self. And a lot of people are able to catch wind of that, and they invite me to stages, shows, and I just got invited to speak at the Grammys, man.
And you know what? I think God had such a big plan for you.
Yeah.
I think he's got so much more than you would even think. 6,500 students. That's just the beginning. That's just
the tip of the iceberg. I agree with you.
The iceberg. I think God's got something so big for you going on. So once again, I've been following you. I love your Instagram channel. I think your Instagram is fire. So if you got some more views in the last couple of weeks, it's all my fault. Yeah. I'm giving you all the views. I take credit. So talk to us about, how do we find you? How do we support your mission? How do we get in touch with you?
Man, appreciate it. So you can go to Instagram at I am Jason White _. I am Jason White _. That's the same handle for TikTok as well. And I'm putting things on there about government contracting processes, even some of the people that I've interviewed as well. I also can be reached at the website, thefederalcode.com, thefederalcode.com. And you talk to me, I'm going to talk back. Let's have a conversation.
I love it. So, guys, make sure you check out his IG. It's fire. Make sure you check him out on all social media. Jason, brother, I just want to say thank you so much. I've been looking forward to for you to come and hang out. And hopefully we get together sometime. Maybe I'll come out, check out a Sacramento game. You know, if the Warriors or the Lakers ever go play the Kings, maybe we'll catch a game together.
Yes, sir, Coach. I'm all with it again, man. Thank you for having me. I like the conversations that's organic like this was, and it makes the audience feel like our conversation was organic, which it was, man. So appreciate you for having me.
All right, guys. So remember, like I learned from Joel Osteen, you can either be a victim of your past or you could be the victor of your future. And guys, if you watch my show, you are a victor. You're no longer a victim. So I love and I appreciate you guys. Remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. I love you guys. And Jason, brother, thank you so much. Have an
Appreciate
amazing day. I'm gonna be watching the Grammys just to see if I can see your face.
You're gonna see me, man. If you see me, be like, man, I just interviewed that dude the other day.
All right, brother. Like I said,
All right,
Devin Rodriguez, thank you, brother, for everything you do. I love you, brother. Have a great week.
man, you too, man. Be safe, coach.
Be good.
Yes, sir.